Raging fires in LA have devastated homes and upended people's lives. Strangely, amidst the devastation, mysterious orbs were spotted around the fires themselves. That brought up a lot of questions about orbs in general because an unusually high number of orb sightings have occurred around disasters like fires, volcanic eruptions, and more. In this episode of Metaphysical, we'll dive into some of the most bizarre sightings in eerie history of orb sightings we could find. And then our resident professional remote viewer, John Vivanco, will bring us his team's remote viewing data on the phenomena. Are these orbs attracted to disasters themselves or what? And don't worry, because we'll also talk more about orbs in general and positive orb sightings. Join John and me, investigative researcher Rob Counts, for a metaphysical show that's out of this world. John, how you doing?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Good. Yeah, this orb phenomena, you and I have talked about this for years now. It's very strange that these orbs are appearing around the LA fires. And we thought it was a really good opportunity to just talk about the entire phenomenon, because it's strange, and there's so many different things going on when it comes to orbs. And in this case, are we just talking about plasma or some type of plasma or electromagnetic energy, or is there something else going on? I mean, what do you think off the top of your head, John?
Well, I mean, orbs is such a broad subject. An orb, by definition, is just a round thing. Anything round can be classified as an orb, but orb has sort of taken on a life of its own when you get into the whole paranormal, high strangeness, UFO, spiritual even world. And within the whole scope of umbrella of orb, they're all different. They're all different things that fall under that umbrella. If it's more like UFO craft based, if it's spiritual based, if it's whatever based, it's going to be different than the next. Consciousness based. I mean, heck, we even have like I've seen red orb lights where there's been Bigfoot hanging about, a tall figure, dark figure in the forest, and this red light that's floating around above it. And so in remote viewing that, we even have orbs associated with Bigfoot as sort of this consciousness utilization, expansion, eyeball factor, right? So
yeah, and as weird as that sounds for anyone at home, there have been multiple people claiming that there are orange or more on the red tone type orbs when they've seen or had Bigfoot encounters. Right. That's not us saying that. These are experiencers claiming that.
And I've seen it. I personally have seen it.
You've seen it. I personally, I haven't, but you've seen it, which is really interesting. Yeah.
Here's the deal with these videos that come out these days. They get put on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever. I'm more apt to remote view videos that came out like from the mid-ish, early 2000s into 2015-ish, 2014-ish. Yeah. We remote view those videos, we find that they're more real than the videos that are coming out now. El Popo, the volcano in Mexico, near Mexico City, or volcanoes in Chile, and you've got these like UFOs or orbs flying out of them at the time of eruptions, when they're erupting, and we remote view those. Those are actually real things that are going on, right? Those are not hoaxes. Those are older videos. People now, that's very interesting, that video. Those are really bright. Now, I don't know if we've not remote viewed this stuff, but this is actually very similar to some of the stuff that I've seen around Mount Adams. I think that was probably some kind of CGI representation, but so that stuff I've seen specifically happen above Mount Adams. That big, that bright, flying like that off of it.
This is a Mexican volcano, and Mount
Right.
Adams is also
A
an active
volcano.
volcano.
Yeah, those are more of a spiritual thing. They're like angelic type beings, or higher dimensional type beings, as opposed to some kind of craft. But they also can mimic and look like craft if they want to look like craft, because you're talking about a higher dimensional thing. And so, the classification of orb is pretty broad, and it can be many different things, just a ball of something, right? UFO type craft that can even be more physical, or is more physical, more closer to our dimensional frequency, or our dimensional frequency. In order for them to operate, a lot of these things will create these fields around them, and they have to do with collapsing the gravitational field. And so in the collapsing of that gravitational field and the type of energy they're producing can create the situation where it looks like a floating ball of light, right? So you really don't know what you're dealing with unless you're actually remote viewing this stuff. Like, well, what's behind that thing right there? That glowing orb? Well, it's like some kind of like a mechanical device that's creating this static electrical field around it, and that's what you're observing, not what's creating the field.
Our discussion is revolving around these different types of orbs that can appear. And you just start asking the questions, which is like, why are there even different types of orbs, and what kind of substance is it? Why would orbs appear around UFOs or around something like a creature that people have claimed that these orbs appear around? Why does that happen, in your opinion?
So when you talk about the orbs as the phenomena that we see that seems to be associated with something that we consider to be anomalous or paranormal, I think that the orbs, they appear that way because there's a multi-dimensional construct occurring. So if you're talking about spiritual orbs, for instance, like if you see some ball of light float by, you could see it clearly with, let's say, night vision on, and there's no bugs, there's no dust, there's nothing like that, and it seems to change direction and stuff like that, and you're watching it. That is just a representation in our physical reality of another being that exists in a different physical reality that is being perceived by you at that moment in our reality. Right. So that's how you're perceiving it, right? So if you could see that orb and then see on the other side to see what it truly is, it's a being of energetic, big or small proportions, big proportions, according to you. Big and small is irrelevant when you get into another dimension. But from our perspective, it could be something very, very big, and we just perceive it as this little floating ball that seems to have some kind of intelligence to it. So when you get to the type of orbs that we see floating in the sky that could be associated with craft, we've remote viewed them. Sometimes they are a bigger representation of a bigger thing of higher dimensional beings that are moving in and out of kind of like this window. I've like remote viewed these things that are these big, beautiful balls of light that are floating in the sky that people have caught on camera, especially the likes of Peter Slattery, right? Viewed a lot of his stuff, and his stuff's super legit. And these balls, like when we remote view them, we go, like, the viewers are like talking about, oh, this is Archangel Metatron. It said it to me, right? Oh, yeah. And wait, oh, it's shifting. There's another high dimensional being coming in. Oh, then there's like this other high dimensional being coming in, and they're wanting to look through this window that they're creating at the moment, even though it's this big ball of light that's floating around. So what we're talking about, once again, is a dimensional construct, right? Now, when we get to things like an orb that transforms itself into a UFO, or when we remote view an orb, we get more of like a 3D physical construct in the middle of it with anti-gravity. It's collapsing gravitational fields in order to do what it's doing, yet it's creating an energy field around it that makes it look orbish. Again, what we're talking about is the shifting of a dimensional reality, the collapsing of a field, the collapsing of of a point of reality in order to bring or create something that defies what we think of as our reality, right? So the orb phenomena to me across the board, whether that is the spiritual side, the little ones, the big ones, the UFO created ones, is a representation of of dimensions colliding, of holes in dimensions, of collapsing gravity and dimensional reality, right? So to me, that's more what it represents.
We had this crazy series that we did on Rise.tv called Relics of Power. And the
Oh,
second
that one, yeah,
episode,
that's a good
yeah,
one.
it is. It's fun. And we could probably endlessly add on episodes to that because there's so
Right,
many different relics that you could talk about. But
right.
we really got to the main ones in Hitler's search for these things.
Wait, okay, so tell me about this. So what happened? Because you're talking about relics of power, and you had something happen with an orb here. Because I've got a story for you when you after
Yeah,
you tell me this.
yeah. So the first couple of episodes we were just trying to cover the Spear of Destiny because the Spear of
Right,
Destiny, the history and Hitler's fascination with it was just ridiculous, right? The
right,
second episode was really interesting because it was all about the missing panels of the Ghent altarpiece, which is one of the most famous pieces of art in the world, as you know. And the reason why it's missing and why it's been gone for so many years is because it is known to have a map laying out specifically where the Holy Grail is, allegedly.
right.
And Hitler was obsessed with this. Here we are on the show, on the episode where we're talking about the Ghent altarpiece, and very clearly this orb shoots past me while I'm talking about it. And I mean, that's not the first time that's happened. This has happened on other episodes as well, but that's the most obvious because you can actually freeze frame it and you see that going on, and it's
Right.
a bit bizarre. Right. So let's get to one of these clips here. Let's watch this. This was in the surrounding LA area. Oh, look at that. Looks like
Yeah.
two things, two vehicles or something chasing one another.
Right. Yeah.
You'd have a super hard time selling me on that being something like plasma or electromagnetic energy with the way that those are moving.
Yeah. We did
Yeah.
remote view that one.
What
And
was that?
this is
What was
well, see, this is one of the big reasons why we very rarely remote view this stuff when I see it. This is also in that whole basket of stuff we hardly ever tell you about because we pick things that are real. Okay, so the data. Okay, just talking about the data straight up. These were aircraft. They were just aircraft. They had the big they're on the nose of the plane, and they've got like lidar. They've got lasers. They've got all sorts of devices. They've got thermal, and all these planes were doing was measuring and tracking fire, and the video was sped up. So it's completely disingenuous from the start. The
Oh.
video is sped up to make you believe that something weird is happening, and they put weird music to it, and but they were just regular aircraft. So if you would have seen this, and you get in this streak because it's just sped up, you're not getting blinking or anything. It's just sped up, right? It's just creating a streak, low quality video, or they were drone-like airplanes, and they had just sensing devices on it because they're measuring aspects of where the fire is going, what is burned, the terrain, using lidar and stuff like that. It's just a normal thing. It's just so people these days are going to take things, kind of like tweak them a little bit, and then try to get you to believe that something extraordinary is happening. We find this all the time. It's incredibly frustrating because a lot of people will sit there and go, wow, something really crazy is happening with these fires, and it's not from that level, at least, right? Not
Yeah,
from
and I
that
mean the timing of that is pretty interesting too because there genuinely are all of these bizarre things being seen over New Jersey,
right?
and then the fires start, and then
Yeah.
they included this clip.
If you watch the video right at the very beginning and look like lower left-hand corner of it, you can see the traffic like going really fast too. The light's going really fast in the traffic. There's an emergency, like a emergency vehicle light down in the lower left-hand corner that's going blinking really fast as well. So
there's an example of a hoax right there. What's next, Lindsay? Let's watch another one of these clips. Look at that. It's like a wisp of something. It's like a strange Death Eater or something from Harry Potter.
right.
Is this another craft that just has a really dark emission? You know, diesel dark emission of gasoline or something? What is this?
Yeah, I mean, we remote viewed this one as well. And again, this is why we don't remote view these things, because so in this case, what it appeared to be was that there were two groups of people, say just group A and group B, that were in coordination with each other over like the phone. And basically one group was to film while the other person was to fly something, fly a kite, do something like that in order to, and they would react to it in a way that made it seem like it was something truly anomalous. More a direct hoax than the last one. The other one was like, I'm going to just misrepresent this. And this was like, hey, let's do something so we can get eyeballs to our channel or whatever. And one of the reasons why we don't go the path of remote viewing everything is because projects can take a little bit of time. You have multiple remote viewers working on things. If you're chasing, you have to have a lot of discernment in what you're going to remote view, because people are just constantly trying to hoax everybody, So, and this is another reason why a lot of our stuff gets filtered into stuff that comes back as being something real and that we present, rather than just like 80 to 90% hoaxes out there, because that's what you get when you're out there. And unfortunately, what happens is that because, and this is on me, right? This is actually on us, is that if we're really only doing stuff on things that are real happening, it will actually give people more of an idea that there's more going on out there than there truly is, and then they will start to truly believe these other things that are hoaxes that we don't report on. So that's on me, and that's an unfortunate thing, and I've got to be careful with that, and in the realm of like, bringing people stuff that's real. It's like, we need to talk about the stuff that's not real, because it's a hell of a lot more than the stuff that is real.
Well, I mean, true, but I think even I look at, there's so many psyops going on out there all the time.
Yeah.
On a weekly or bi-weekly basis in the news cycle, and with the mimetic warfare that's out there, there are ideas getting spread around like wildfire that have nothing to do with anything of substance, that everyone just starts to adopt because they want it to be true.
Right.
One politician makes a decision and it turns into a massive conspiracy that actually has nothing to do with the conspiracy that people are peddling. Sometimes that can happen. And sometimes it could look totally normal and it's a part of something much bigger too. So it's, I think people right now, there's so many people waking up to the world being a lot stranger than they thought, and there being so many conspiracies that are actually out there. People go through this process when they're red pilling, where everything is weird for a while. Everything is a conspiracy for a while, and then they level out over time. It takes probably a few years,
Right.
Gosh, even within really, really fantastically laid out conspiracy theories, there will be a part of it, like let's say 25% of it, that's just fabrication or sensational. Yeah, and then there was some UFOs or orbs, I mean, hard to know what they were, that appeared over the Dome of the Rock.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, the Dome of the Rock probably has a lot of energy around it just in general because of the human attachment to it. It's super relevant, spiritually for people.
Here, check
There's a new video this morning that some say may be proof we're not alone in the universe. A UFO in the form of a bright light is seen descending over the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. The video is said to be taken over the weekend. Then suddenly the light shoots up into the sky. There you see it.
Whoa.
Another video from a different angle appears to show the light doing the same thing. Those clips have gone viral now.
That's one of the older videos, right? Because the older videos, like I was referring to earlier, 2015 and pre, like those are usually not fake. So we'll have to look at that one and see what that one was and then report back on it. pretty solid as far as the video goes.
Yeah, that video was nuts. Yeah, there have been orbs that have been seen over conflict zones too.
I'm going to walk you through 2 cases that we've declassified recently. This first one is an MQ-9 in the Middle East, observing that blow up, which is an apparent spherical object via EO sensors. Those are not IR. If you want to go ahead and click that and play it. You'll see it come through the top of the screen. There it goes. And then the camera will slew to follow it. You'll see it pop in and out of the field of view there. This is essentially all of the data we have associated with this event from some years ago. It is going to be virtually impossible to fully identify that just based off of that video. Now, what we can do and what we are doing is keeping that as part of that group of 52% to see what are the similarities, what are the trends across all of these, do we see these in a particular distribution, do they all behave the same or not? As we get more data, we will be able to go back and look at these in a fuller context. How are we going to get more data? We are working with the Joint Staff to issue guidance to all the services and commands that will then establish what are the reporting requirements, the timeliness, and all of the data that is required to be delivered to us and retained from all of the associated sensors. That historically hasn't been the case, and it's been happenstance that data has been collected.
Yeah, that's strange, and you know, lots of craft appearing over nuclear sites, appearing over places they're developing technology. It would make sense that there were some of these other dimensional craft observing what's going on where there is weaponry, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, also there are factions in the military, black projects. They have this technology as well. So, this kind of stuff will come out. I'm guessing in the coming years, 20 years from now, I don't know, 10 years from now, if we're still around. And that people go, oh, those were those things. Right?
Hopefully it doesn't take as long as the JFK or the MLK files to be released.
Yeah, well.
Little joke. Well, yeah, you guys, we'd really like to know if you've had your own orb encounter or you've had sightings of these and what you've discovered in your own personal experience. We love reading your comments because the comments are where you get, and the experiences from people and from you guys are where you get the really, really rich stories that, and it helps to figure out what's really going on. So if you would like to share your experience, please do that. Please share in the comments on this video. Let us know what you guys are thinking about this, what you think they are, what you thought of this video. We hope you liked this metaphysical episode. Remember to like and subscribe to help the channel grow. If you like what we do and want more, we couldn't end this conversation here because it goes way deeper than this.
Sometimes we'll do things as a group, in group remote viewing, kind of like Minority Report with the precogs. Like we'll do it like that style and not on paper. Sure. We were tasked on some floor that's closed off. I think it was the Cairo Museum or something that supposedly had potential alien artifact or something that they're keeping from the public. So it was full of relics, right? It was full of all these relics. There was one relic that caused so much trouble for me for like a week. We were all viewing, but this being came from this one relic and came to our location, my house, and appeared as an orb.
If you want to hear the rest of this bonus content, you can subscribe to the Mystery Junkie tier or higher on the metaphysical.tv. That will get you access to exclusive metaphysical episodes, director cuts, and topics you won't see anywhere else. Plus, your subscription to the metaphysical.tv also gets you about 1,000 more episodes on mysteries, ancient civilizations, cryptids, UFOs, and other awesome topics. You can also get a bag of delicious metaphysical coffee if you want your mornings to be interstellar, or metaphysical merch so everyone knows how much you like Bigfoot. John, thanks so much for being with us today. And for those of you at home, we hope you guys thought this episode was out of this world.